Thanks for joining me again. In this video, I quickly want to touch base on questions asked by the immigration officer at the port of entry. The type of questions you will be receiving or getting from the officer will really vary depending on the purpose of your stay in Canada. So what you have to look at is, why are you visiting Canada? Where are you going? So specifically what province? How long are you staying? Who will you be staying with? These are very common and typical questions that the immigration officer will ask just to ensure your whereabouts and ensuring that you don't overstay that authorized welcome in Canada. Being under the scrutiny at the port of entry can be extremely intimidating, especially if you have an inadmissibility issue such as health reasons or criminality. Again, depending on what your purpose is to visit, the immigration officer will focus its question on that purpose. So if there is a criminality or medical inadmissibility, the questions are going to be a little bit intimidating. They'll ask specifically about what happened during that, like to get that offense, and also what transpired thereafter. And really the focus on answering these types of questions, what the officer is looking for is to ensure that the safety and security of Canadians are not at risk. So at any time where you get a question, just keep that in mind. The officer wants to see if he or she should let you in, and how they risk that or how they evaluate that is the risk versus the need. So what is the possible risk to Canadians and what is the need for your entry? So what you want to do is kind of ensure that the need outweighs the possible tiny little risk to Canadian society. Obviously, the more the need, so if you're going to Canada for business versus leisure, then your chances of entering Canada obviously increase. And then obviously the risk factor, you can address that as well. And again, it's very specific to that offense, how long ago it happened, and also the documentation you present to the immigration officer to, inform him or her about the low risk traveler that you are. So what we do in cases like whether it is to explain your situation to the immigration officer because you've been giving a difficult time in your past travels, or whether there is a criminality or some sort of inadmissibility, at the firm what we do is we prepare what we call a port of entry package. In this package, we address the possible concerns to the officer. So if it is the officer is concerned because you may overstay your welcome, we'll include documentation as well as arguments in regards to your ample ties to your home country and your purpose of visit to Canada. Or for example, if the officer believes or has turned you around in the past because he or she believes that you may enter the labor market of Canada and work in Canada. So we'll explain to the immigration officer with documentation stating that no, your intent is a visitor, obviously if that is your intent. So essentially the port of entry package is an explanation to the immigration officer to alleviate whatever concerns he or she may have. And again, this also includes anyone who has any inadmissibility issues, specifically health or criminality. We explain it with ample documentation to say, yes, there is a criminal conviction. My client has served the sentence. He's not a risk to the public in Canada. This client needs to come into Canada for business, etc., etc. So it is an explanation to the officer so that he or she can look at the risk versus the need and then say, yes, you know what, the need outweighs that possible risk to Canadians and allow you temporary entry into the country. So again, just to say that one more time, the port of entry questions really are specific to your intent. So whatever your intent is, whether to visit, study, work, or you have past denials into the country, you want to address those possible concerns. And again, they usually ask basic questions of why are you coming, how long are you staying, who are you staying with. We are not convinced that you're a visitor. We need documentation to prove that you're coming for business, etc., etc., etc. So whatever the concern is, those are the specific questions that you'll get And if you have any specific concerns, or if there was an officer that didn't let you into the port of entry to cross over to Canada, and you really want to clarify some of those points, by all means do give us a call and we'll run you through not only the possible questions you'll get, but also which port of entries are a little bit more lenient and understanding towards your possible entry. So we'll advise you which borders are better than others, if you will, and give you those tips. I hope this video helped. Until next time.